Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Truly.Pakistan blog YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss how to solve 3-mark sources for Pakistan Studies Paper 1, that is History and Culture of Pakistan 2059 Paper 1. Make sure you watch the video till the end. In today's discussion, we are going to find out that how do you use the provided source to answer this question appropriately. We will also find the key points and what is the best way to do that. And we will also discuss the marking scheme for this kind of question. So let's get started. Dear viewers, this is a sample question from May-June 2019. For solving a 3-mark source, you need to understand that this part, which is the source of the question, is attached in the insert, whereas the statement of the question is attached in the question paper itself. They are not printed side by side, so you have to be very careful while matching the correct question to the correct source. Now let's have a look at what you have to do to solve this question. First things first. You need to identify 3 or 4 features from the source. In this case, the paragraph which you just saw was the source. Your own knowledge or other than the source is not required in this question. Stay relevant to the source and please don't be tempted to tell the examiner everything you know about the sources. Perhaps you know many things, but in this question, that skill is not required. You have to write in your own words and try to avoid lifting the facts as it is from the provided source as much as possible. Because in the long run, you might end up picking up 1 word or 2 words and writing them in the paragraph will not bring you any score because you have to write meaningful sentences in one continuous paragraph. In this paper, this question or any other question doesn't require any form of headings, so try avoid writing any headings. It is recommended that you give at least 5 minutes to this kind of question, which includes the reading time as well. Moving on. Having a look at this provided source and how you are going to answer appropriately. This is your source. And this is the question. You must read it all. Let's read it together. Fort William, Calcutta, 1756. On the evening of 20th June, some 64 prisoners, including 2 women and several wounded soldiers, were marched at sword point to the filthy dungeon at Fort William. This was a little cell, measuring 18 feet by 14 feet 10 inches, designed for no more than 3 petty criminals. The heat at this time of the year was suffocating. Prisoners trampled on each other to get nearer one of the 2 tiny windows or the small amount of water they had been left. Their guards mocked at them as the prisoners gasped for air and pleaded for mercy. At 6 a.m. the next morning, when the door was opened, dead bodies were piled up inside. This is an adapted version from an essay in History Today from 2006. Now the question statement is question A. According to source A, why did many people die at Fort William in 1756? The score is obviously 3 marks. After reading the source, you have to find the keywords in the question statement. That is going to make it easier for you to understand what actually the question is asking you. The key question in this case are why people die, Fort William, 1756. Now using these keywords, we are going to find an appropriate answer. Let's move on. From the same source, now let's find the relevant facts. After the reading, The question which we picked up was why many people died at Fort William. So actually, you are picking up the causes of the death of these people, the prisoners. So the facts which we have picked up are several wounded soldiers, filthy dungeon, a little cell, the heat, suffocation, prisoners trampled on each other, small amount of water, the guards mocked, they gasped for air. Now here you can see that we have picked up all of the factors which were listed in the source provided. Now let's have a look whether these match to the marking scheme or not. In the marking scheme, the question is printed again and then the levels are identified. This question has only one level, which is going to give you 1, 2 or 3 marks. According to this level descriptor, 1 mark for each relevant statement identified from the source will be given, or 2 marks for a developed statement from the source will be allocated. You can also see several examples provided below this level descriptor. But before that, there is a 0 score criteria as well, which means that if you have not picked up relevant evidence or you are not addressing the question appropriately, it will be a 0 score answer. Having said that, there are several examples provided in the marking scheme as well. As it says that it is an example, it is a possibility there could be some points or some facts which are not listed here, but they are correct. The first fact which is written here is that the soldiers, several of them, were already wounded. The conditions in the cell were dirty and it would have infected the soldiers' wounds. Lack of fresh air would have resulted in suffocation. Lack of water resulted in dehydration. Trampled to death trying to reach water, this is for the soldiers, and they were reaching for the fresh air. They crushed to death in the overcrowded cell, and the guards showed no interest in the prisoners' welfare. Now I think that all of these facts we have already picked up in the previous slide, which looked something like this. Now let's have a look at a sample answer which I have put here for you all. There is no one way to answer this question. However, this answer might help you in understanding how this has to be done. I have transformed 3 sentences in 3 different colors for you to understand that I have joined or comprehensively written some factors together to make the answer more relevant to the question. At Fort William, several wounded soldiers were imprisoned in a filthy dungeon. This cell was too small for these soldiers and they were suffocated. Here you can see that I have joined 2 points together. The heat was unbearable and the soldiers trampled on each other to reach for fresh air, which killed them. An answer like this can bring you a full score, that is 3 marks. I hope that you find this guide really helpful and all 3 marks for this question can be gained pretty easily. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe and click the bell icon.